Um, Dr. Fair, I think Commissioner Hester might be in the attendee and Commissioner Austin has joined the panelists. So we may actually have 12 if that's Dawn, Hester, and the attendee section.
I had moved her over earlier, but
Yeah,
I'll
I
do.
think she got disconnected.
Okay. All right. I've moved.
And that looks like yep, I think we're good. Let me know when you started recording.
Started recording earlier.
Okay, great. So welcome everyone to the North Carolina Textbook Commission meeting advisor debriefings for June the 17th, day 1. We need to have roll call. Dr. Fair, if you can go through and poll the commission.
Commissioner Laura Austin.
Commissioner Austin, present.
Commissioner Jody Ray Autry.
Commissioner Autry, present.
Commissioner Catherine Bailey. Commissioner Ricky Baldwin. Commissioner Marlena Blue.
Commissioner Blue, present.
Commissioner Megan Kennedy. Commissioner William Cheshire. Commissioner Edward Coggins.
Commissioner Coggins, present.
Commissioner Missy Ellenberger.
Commissioner Ellenberger, present.
Commissioner Shannon Everhart. Commissioner Angela Flowers. Commissioner Aubrey Gadet.
Present.
Commissioner Don Hester.
Hester, present.
Commissioner Hannah Jimenez. Commissioner Kathleen Linker.
Commissioner Linker, present.
Commissioner Randall Marcothia.
Commissioner Martosia, present.
Commissioner Mallory Mbalia.
Commissioner Mbalia, present.
Commissioner Alicia McLean. Commissioner Susan Mills. Commissioner Rob Oral.
Commissioner Oral, present.
Commissioner Michelle Perry. Commissioner Alicia Ray.
Commissioner Ray, present.
And Commissioner Lindsay Sice. Okay, you have 12 commissioners who are present.
Okay, so we will start. We're a little behind schedule. We're going to start with Ag 4. And the first course that we're going to talk about is going to be natural resources. So welcome everyone. We have in our attendance the advisors who have evaluated the material that for us to give us their expert opinion. And we are going to go through the process. I will call out the bid number and the advisors will then be given the opportunity to give us a quick few comments of strengths and weaknesses that they found in their evaluation. So we are starting with AN 51 Natural Resources 1. And the first bid in that is C like Charles, E Edward, V Victor 3012. Dr. Fair, I'm not sure that we have those advisors and as panelists. Would they be able to speak where they are? I'm not sure they can unmute themselves. Advisor Maria Bishop, can you see if you can unmute yourself where you are? Oh, she's not in here. Elliot Dyer, can you see if you can unmute yourself? I don't know that it'll let you. Nope, cannot.
I'll unmute them, Commissioner Linker. I apologize. I thought I was unmuted. I'll unmute them. I just need to know who they are. If you can just let me know, and I can unmute all of them as you call their name, but they'll have to make sure that there's no background noise.
Right, and I'm not sure who they are. I just know he's an EC person. Advisor.
Commissioner Cadet, and for ag, we have, you should see her name, Dr. Fair, it says AG4 April Pittman. She's the only one that we have that will be.
For them to let me know when they want me to send you. So I'll let you know when it's time to go.
So I have to unmute one. So if
one
you're
or two,
speaking,
we're
could you
gonna wait just a few minutes on that.
I had to unmute everyone.
Thank you.
So if not,
You're welcome.
Could you please mute yourself back?
Oh, yours?
Can we just move, if it's just one advisor, and then raise your hand if you're a EC or EL person? Maybe we can just move Ms. Pittman to a participant.
I'm not able to. I'll try again, but I'm not having the options.
Okay, that's okay. I just know if that would help with the background noise. So if you're an attendee, if we there is someone that needs to mute themselves. There's a few people that need to mute themselves back. The only ones that should be unmuted at this point would be Ms. Pittman and any EC or EL that evaluated Natural Resources 1. So I think maybe we're ready.
Okay, sorry, already
Even
from
your
the
own. It's okay.
already.
Would you wait in the chat? Well, I guess we can't chat either, correct? Can you see if you can drop in the chat if you recommend or do not recommend your overall impression for the text? CEV 3012.
Hi, how's it going? You're fine.
Okay, so that's a yes. Okay, and so could you give us some few strengths in that resource?
Hey, so the ICEV resource, CEV 3012, it covered over 83% of the standards. And the ones that it did cover, they were covered very thoroughly. So there were a few that it was missing that would need to be supplemented by local instructors. But the objectives that they did cover were covered very well, and they had a lot of supplemental resources that had a variety of activities. Like it covered different instructional strategies.
Thank you. Were there any weaknesses that you noted? The specific standards that were lacking?
Yeah, it did not cover the soils objective 4.01. It was also lacking freshwater and saltwater fish habitats and species. It didn't have specific information needed for those. But those were the only 3 objectives that it was missing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I know Advisor Elliott Dyer, you put some things in the chat. Can you speak to, from the EC perspective, strengths and weaknesses? And if there's anybody else that I don't recognize. I think you're on mute, or on my view, you look like you're on mute. If not, we do have your comments.
It was able to unmute Mr. Dyer, so hopefully he can speak.
He doesn't have a mic beside his name. Like mute or unmute, there's not a mic there.
That was because I unmuted him.
There we
He
go.
just muted himself back. Would you like for me to unmute him again?
Yeah, let's try one more time. And it just muted back. Okay. I'm just gonna read his comments.
Okay.
I'm not sure that everybody can see the comments, so I want it to be known. He reads, and I'm reading what he typed in the chat box. I recommend content is grade appropriate and is suitable for students with varying degrees of abilities. The focus on vocabulary comprehension is a valuable resource for EC students. Texts are clear and easy to read font. The photos and PowerPoints are useful to all students. Key concepts are clearly defined and reinforced through the use of projects and various activities. Objectives require the use of background information that build throughout the course. Materials were well organized. During the water conservation plan, directions are clear and listed step-by-step order. The lesson plans are straightforward and beneficial for beginning and veteran teachers. The technology uses interactive software to teach vocabulary and reinforce desired outcomes. Would there be any weaknesses? And is there an EC person on here? And I see an EC person, but I'm not sure that she did that area.
I'm the EL person.
There you go. I meant EL.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it is a very well organized and has a student-friendly approach. The videos have subtitles that, and it can be sped up or slowed down for EL populations. There are also video scripts available. The presentations can be shared with students that need added support. The activities that are used to reinforce this content are extremely interactive, and they have a multitude of learning and strategies embedded in them. The lessons are bite-sized and manageable. There are vocabulary handouts for each module. The publisher, let's see, they're supporting student learning for regular and struggling students. The activities are super engaging. I gave examples of those in the criteria sheet. And disadvantages, there's not very many, but the vocabulary handouts did not contain any visuals, and there was a PDF to assist special populations, but the suggested strategies and formative checks were kind of weak as far as supporting EL populations. There was also not a read aloud option.
Thank you. Next, we're going to look at GW3016. So we'll go back to Ms. Pittman.
I'm sorry.
Your overall recommendation. That would be GW3016.
Okay, thank you. I'm finding. Okay. So GW3016.
Yes, would you recommend that?
Yes, I do recommend it.
And could we have any strengths that you found?
Yeah, so
the ones you want to note, I should say.
Strengths, it covered career, employment, and natural resource content very well. All of the natural resource objectives related to natural resources, soils, forestry, it did very well with those. It did not, are you okay? Can I just,
you can go to weaknesses.
It did not do well with covering CTSOs, especially FFA, or parliamentary procedure or public speaking or SAE. So it didn't cover that big leadership component very well, but it still met 77.8% of the standards.
Thank you. Mr. Dyer, were you able to review this material? If not, Miss Kathy, or did you have an opportunity to review this material?
Yes, I was reviewing my notes. Okay. There are, the layout is crowded. There's way too much text on the pages. Sorry, I should have started with the positives. I apologize. I'll go to the positives next. And they use a variety of different styles of sentences and fonts throughout the digital textbook, which can be a little bit confusing, I think, at times for ELs. It does not necessarily lend itself to using a first language. The assessments would be difficult for an EL. And there were very few accessibility features other than Zoom. Now let me talk, I should have started with positives. Positives are the content represents many different cultures and geographic locations. It's very relevant, appropriate, it builds background and promotes student engagement with critical thinking questions embedded throughout the text. There are a variety of activities that the students can use to reinforce the content in the student lab book. And then I list a lot of those different activities in the criteria sheet. The graphics and photos are high quality. The vocabulary is well defined with access to a glossary as well as a companion website that contains e-flashcards, a vocabulary matching game, a vocabulary cloze activities. Let's see. There are resources in the teacher's edition for reaching struggling populations. The videos on the companion website had subtitles, but it was English only subtitles. They also had a change of video speed, video transcripts, online quizzes, constructive response activities. The teacher's guide was nicely laid out with PowerPoint presentations and lesson plans. And the only real issue is the overly wordy, crammed pages with too much text, really. That's it.
Okay, thank you. The next bid number would be SVL 3001. SVL 3001.
Commissioner Linker, are we not doing a quick vote at the end, or?
We only have one person and she said yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, hey. So SVL 3001
Yeah.
was
Can
the,
we get your overall recommendation first? Would you recommend or not recommend this?
I do not recommend.
And can you give us some strengths?
Strength, it covered the leadership component of the course well. So it covered CTSOs and Parley Pro and public speaking, career employment and SAE. It covered those well, and basic natural resources terms. Weaknesses, it did not go into natural resource content very well at all because it was a general agri-science text. So there was no in-depth coverage on soils or forestry or aquatics or the atmosphere.
Thank you. Either Mr. Dyer and Miss Kathy, if you have some strengths or weaknesses from the EC and EL lens. Again, we do have your criteria sheets of the highlights of things that you want us to know that are strengths and weaknesses.
I'll start. For the EL perspective, it's a beautifully laid out textbook with full color. The text is in white space and also in color blocks to break up the space on the page. Kind of gives the appearance of more bite-sized chunks of text. The main menu is on a sidebar that has great accessibility features. Students can change the view from fit to height. They can zoom in. They can look at a night reader view. They can mark up the digital text with emojis and highlighters. There's a notebook on the sidebar they can pull up and write notes on. There's a flashcard button on the sidebar where they can create flashcards for the chapter. There is a settings symbol that can be used to change the language of the sidebar menu only, though, not the digital text content. But it can change the menu into any of 36 different languages. Let's see. Students can highlight any word within the text, have it defined. They can copy it, or they can have it made into a flashcard or look it up in Wikipedia with a link to that. There's a read aloud option for the digital textbook that can be sped up or slowed down. And some disadvantages are that much of the textbook is actually written in a passive voice and uses past tense. It's an extremely complex language text, not super friendly for English language learners. See if there's anything else on the notes there. And it also did not appear to target many different styles of learning, although there are, let's see, strategies that are to the Teacher's Guide to Support EL and EC. Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Dyer, I'm going on the assumption that if you didn't respond, then you can't unmute yourself. So here's his comments. I'm going to read the EC comments. He can't unmute himself, so he typed it in the chat. He said, EC read aloud option was useful. View as a student is straightforward. View as a student option makes the information very user-friendly for EC students. Virtual chunking of information will help retain student focus. The next bid number is ED, like David, L3002. EDL 3002. So Ms. Pittman, would you recommend?
I do not recommend this text.
And can you give us some strengths and followed by weaknesses?
Strengths. So this course was a forestry course. So it did really well on one of the standards needed for forestry. It covered everything needed in one of the standards. But the weakness was because it was a forestry course, it did not cover any of the leadership components for natural resources. It also did not cover soils or aquatics or atmosphere or air quality or pollution. So it only covered 5.6% of the standards.
Thank you. Ms. Kathy, would you like to add anything from the EL standpoint?
Yes. Ironically, this was the most EL-friendly course that I have evaluated thus far. It was a blended program. It could be adapted for in-person and online. The students could access the digital text. They could also print out PDF format of the text. There was an awesome read aloud option that could be speed controlled and started from any point in the text. There was an option to highlight any portion of the text and have it translated into any one of 65 different languages. I've not seen that anywhere, including some really obscure languages like Basque. Let's see. You can also click on any word in the text and have it defined. You can click on a word and you can click on the visual picture dictionary and have a picture pulled up for any word in the text. There's pins to annotate in the sidebar. There's a screen mask to help students focus on a smaller chunk section of text. It can be changed to a ruler guide and also a line guide. The digital texts are well laid out, easy to read, contain beautiful and culturally representative photos and graphics. It's written in mostly active voice, and it appears to be a lower level of Lexile, and I believe that has to do with the fact that they're translating it into 65 different languages, so it's very accessible for ELs. There's also ability to listen to any lesson on a podcast with downloadable MP3s. There's a variety of activities. There's an online continuous learning guide that contains strategies for differentiating learning for students. That was extremely impressive. Best online learning guide I've seen yet for differentiation. And the biggest disadvantage is the text viewing area was kind of narrow and it could not be expanded. That was it. It hit all marks.
Thank you. Mr. Dyer, would you like to add anything for the strengths and weaknesses from the EC perspective? Okay. He said no.
Moving right along.
Sorry, thank you, Commissioner Autry. I have too many things pulled up. We're going to start business finance. We're starting with accounting BA 10, accounting 1. If you're a commission member and if you're an advisor that evaluated this material, if you could raise your little hand so that we can see who it is that we would be talking to. Commissioner Sykes isn't here this morning. So I've got Katina Kane and Scott Haddock and Sharon So Dr. Farrell, we need to unmute the ones that had their hand raised. AG, sorry, hold on a second. AG is finished for this morning. Okay, I'm sorry. So it looks like Miss Kane should be unmuted now. Mr. Haddock, unmuted. Sharon, I'm sorry, I can't see your last name in the. Riddick is unmute. And you're the 3 advisors for us. So are we ready to roll? We're going to start with BA 10 Accounting 1. The submission number is CGL 3006. If you could indicate in the chat yes or no that you would recommend.
I'm sorry, I had my hand raised from earlier.
Okay.
I did not review accounting.
Okay, that's Mr. Haddock.
That's
good.
Same for me. I didn't review accounting either.
I'm Mrs. High, and I did review accounting, and I'm unmuted from earlier, but I'm in the accounting part.
Okay. You can talk now though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right. So if you need to talk and you have the ability to unmute yourself, but first in the chat, if you have a submission for this, if you have submitted the evaluation criteria sheets, if you are a content area teacher, indicate in the chat yes you would recommend it to us or no you would not. So in the chat, you would just say, yes, I recommend, or no, I do not recommend.
I'm not seeing anything yet, Commissioner Linker.
I'm not either. And Dr. Fair, we do not have quorum at this moment unless someone's dropped out of panelists. I'm seeing 11 commission members.
You don't have me listed, Daphne Russell for accounting.
Okay.
This is Sharon Riddick, and I have put it in the chat, yes. So I have responded.
I'm not seeing the chat. I'm not seeing the chat. Okay.
And I have responded too. This is Kathy High that I said yes.
This is Commissioner Godet. Are you all responding with the chat with everyone or just chat with attendees?
They're
Or-
responding privately, so they'll need to respond to everyone. I'm
Yeah.
seeing it's pop in. It's coming up privately.
Yes, thanks.
Commissioner Linker, this is Audrey Strong. I was a panelist, but not for accounting. I'm in that BFM part 2.
Okay. Well, right. We'll be with you in just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Fair, I need to pause for a second.
Okay.
Because in the panelist, we do not have quorum.
Okay.
So I'm checking through the attendees and make sure we don't have someone that was accidentally kicked off and then trying to get back in.
Okay.
And I do not see anybody. So with that, I'd like to make the recommendation, although we can't vote, that we take a break. Either that or we're going to have to end. Public meeting laws require that we have 12 commission members to conduct business.
I second that. If that's what you're waiting for.
If we can do that, yeah. Just bear with us a little bit. If you remember attendees, we talked about if you're an advisor that this is a public hearing and we have to follow the rules and guidelines for Robert's rules pertaining to governing public meetings, and that requires the commission member as the governing body to have at least half to make quorum, and that for the commission that would be 12, and we currently have 11, so we cannot conduct business. And I think I'm looking it up really quick. I think we're probably going to have to stop the meeting. Dr. Fair, I think at this time we're probably just going to have to stop the meeting. I'm not even sure who's not here that was here but there is not a commission member in the attendees link, so we do not have quorum at this time. And we can't make a motion because that's conducting business. So
Okay.
we're just going to have to stop the meeting.
Okay, I will stop the recording, and then are you wanting me to
do roll call? Do we need to do roll call really quick so we have a verbal record of not having quorum? Let's do that really quick. Maybe somebody is popping in back in while we do that.
All right. Commissioner Laura Austin.
Commissioner Austin is present.
Commissioner Jody Ray Autry.
Commissioner Autry is present.
Commissioner Catherine Bailey. Commissioner Ricky Baldwin. Commissioner Marlena Blue.
Commissioner Blue, present.
Commissioner, I'll just go with the ones who were here. Commissioner Edward Coggins.
Commissioner Coggins present.
Commissioner Missy Ellenberger. Commissioner Missy Ellenberger. She was here earlier, so this would be the commissioner that is not here, and it will change your numbers. Commissioner Aubrey Godet.
Godet present.
I'm sorry, go ahead. When you finish, there's a comment that she cannot join after 10. So she's in the process of logging out. That would be Ellenberger. And so she's not going to be able to join us. So when we finish taking the roll, even though she's muted there, she's making a comment that she's leaving. We can't hear her, but she's saying I have to go for a prior commitment. So
Okay,
go ahead and, I'm sorry, continue with the roll call, Dr. Fair.
okay, yes. Commissioner Don Hester,
Hester present.
Commissioner Kathleen Linker,
Commissioner Linker present.
Commissioner Randall Martosia,
Here.
Commissioner Mallory Mbalia,
Commissioner Mbalia present.
Commissioner Rob Oral,
Commissioner Oral present.
Commissioner Alicia Ray.
Commissioner Ray present.
Okay. And so those were all of your commissioners who were here previously, except for Commissioner Missy Ellenberger, who commented in the chat that she was leaving and not able to return.
Okay, so with that, we'll have to close the meeting. If you're an advisor or a commission member, you would continue with your work for the day. And we will have our next meeting in the morning. So thank you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Commissioner Linker, so we will begin with the BFM1 tomorrow morning
Yes, ma'am.
and continue as scheduled on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Linker, do we just go back to our assigned area and the other?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Go
you.
back to your workspace. Thank you.